Some people don't fall apart in obvious ways. They don't scream, they don't cry in public, they don't collapse on the floor, they tighten up, they get cleaner, they get quieter, they get more productive, they become fine. And everyone around them applauds the glow-up, the discipline, the maturity, without realizing that sometimes fine is just the most socially acceptable form of suffering. So today we're talking about 7 behaviors that are often praised, ignored, or mislabeled, but can actually be hidden signs that something deeper is happening in the mind. This is not a diagnosis. I'm not here to label you. I'm here to help you notice patterns, because noticing is how healing begins. A behavior can come from many places: stress, grief, burnout, trauma, physical illness, neurodivergence, medication side effects, or simply a hard season. The question is, do I ever do this? The question is this new for me? Is it getting stronger? Is it costing me something? Is my life shrinking because of it? And as you listen, I want you to be gentle with yourself. If you recognize yourself in any of these signs, that doesn't mean you're broken. It means your nervous system has been trying to protect you. But protection can become a prison when it goes on too long. And the goal of this video is to help you see the difference. Now let's start with the sign that hides in plain sight, because it's often rewarded. The first behavior is perfectionism that feels like oxygen, not "I like doing a good job," not "I care about quality." I mean the kind of perfectionism that feels like if you make one mistake, something terrible will happen, not necessarily on the outside, but inside. Your self-worth will collapse, your safety will vanish, your identity will crack. This kind of perfectionism is rarely just a personality trait. It's often anxiety dressed up as standards. It's control used as comfort. It's the mind trying to prevent pain by becoming impossible to criticize. And it shows up in subtle ways. You can't rest until everything is done, but everything is never done. You rewrite messages 5 times because you're terrified of being misunderstood. You redo work that was already good because good doesn't feel safe. Compliments bounce off you like rain, but criticism sticks like glue. You delay starting something important because if it can't be perfect, it feels better to not begin at all. And here's what perfectionism is really saying beneath the surface. If I can control the outcome, I can control the feeling. But feelings aren't controlled by perfection. Feelings are processed by honesty. And perfectionism, over time, becomes a slow erasure of your humanity. Because humans are messy. Humans grow in drafts. Humans learn by making mistakes. And when you treat mistakes like danger, your life becomes a constant emergency. So if you're listening and you feel that familiar tightness, like you're always bracing, ask yourself one question: if I stopped performing for a month, would I still feel worthy of love? If that question feels threatening, perfectionism might not be ambition, it might be armor, and armor gets heavy when you wear it every day. The second behavior is avoidance disguised as "I'm just busy." Avoidance is one of the most misunderstood mental health signs because it doesn't look like fear. It looks like scheduling, it looks like productivity, it looks like "I'll do it later." But often, avoidance is the nervous system saying, that thing is danger, even when your logical mind knows it's not. Avoidance can mean you keep procrastinating the one task that would change your life. It can mean you don't open emails because your chest tightens at the thought of bad news. It can mean you delay doctor appointments, difficult conversations, paperwork, phone calls, social plans, even things you used to enjoy, because your system associates them with discomfort, judgment, conflict, or overwhelm. Sometimes it's anxiety. Sometimes it's trauma. Sometimes it's depression. Sometimes it's obsessive fear. But the mechanism is similar. Avoidance gives short-term relief, and the brain loves short-term relief. It learns, if we avoid, we feel better, so it repeats it. Then your world slowly gets smaller. At first it's just one thing, one conversation you don't want to have, one place you don't want to go, then it becomes a pattern, then it becomes your personality. People say, "You're just private now," or "You're just focused." But inside you're not focused, you're trapped. If you want a simple way to tell if avoidance is a warning sign, notice whether your life is shrinking. Are you doing less, seeing fewer people, taking fewer chances, handling fewer responsibilities than you used to, because it feels like too much? If yes, don't shame yourself. Your system is trying to protect you. But you can start rebuilding capacity with one small step. Instead of asking, "How do I stop avoiding?" ask, "What emotion am I trying not to feel?" Name the emotion. Then make the task so small it feels almost silly. 5 minutes, one sentence, one email opened without replying. One tiny action is how you teach your brain, I can survive discomfort. The third behavior is emotional numbness. When you don't feel sad, you feel nothing. This is one of the most hidden signs of mental illness because people expect depression to look like crying. But for many people, depression looks like blankness, flatness, a kind of muted existence. It's not that you're constantly in pain, it's that you're not fully alive. You might notice it when music doesn't hit anymore, when food tastes like nothing, when you laugh because you're supposed to, but it doesn't reach your chest, when you scroll and scroll and scroll, not because you're entertained, but because you can't tolerate silence with yourself. When you say, I'm okay, and you mean it, because okay is all you can access. Sometimes numbness is depression, sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's chronic stress that has overloaded your emotional system. The mind does something protective, it lowers the volume of feeling, but here's the cost. When you numb pain, you numb joy. When you shut off the dark, you shut off the color, and then life becomes a routine of existing. If you're wondering whether numbness is a problem, ask yourself, if someone handed you your dream life tomorrow, would you feel excited, or would you just feel tired? Tiredness can be a symptom, not laziness, not weakness, a symptom. The fourth behavior is constant fatigue and random, physical pain that doesn't quite make sense. This one is tricky because it can be medical, and you should always take physical symptoms seriously. But it's also true that mental health often speaks through the body, especially in people who have learned to be strong emotionally. You might be exhausted no matter how much you sleep. You might wake up tired. Your body might feel heavy. Like gravity increased. You might get headaches, stomach issues, tight shoulders, back pain, jaw clenching, chest pressure, or frequent coming down with something. Sometimes stress and anxiety keep the body in a constant state of tension. Sometimes depression changes energy, sleep quality, and motivation in ways that affect the whole system. Sometimes trauma keeps your nervous system on alert, burning fuel all day long. And sometimes the body carries what the mouth never speaks. You may not say you're overwhelmed, but your body will. You may not admit you're grieving, but your body will. You may not let yourself feel fear, but your body will. Here's a grounded approach. If you're experiencing persistent fatigue or pain, rule out medical causes with a clinician, but also track patterns for a couple of weeks. What happens to your body after conflict, after work stress, after social pressure, after poor sleep? Sometimes the mystery symptom has a very consistent emotional trigger. That's not you making it up. That's your body communicating. The fifth behavior is sleep and appetite changes that are brushed off as just lifestyle. Sleep and appetite aren't just habits, they're signals, they're dashboards, and when they shift dramatically, especially alongside mood and functioning, it can be an important clue that something is happening internally. Maybe you're sleeping too much, but never feel restored. Maybe you can't fall asleep because your mind won't stop scanning for danger. Maybe you wake up at 3 a.m. with your heart racing. Maybe your appetite disappears, not because you're dieting, but because you feel numb or anxious. Or maybe you're eating constantly, not because you're hungry, but because eating becomes the only reliable comfort you can access. What makes this a hidden sign is that people normalize it. They say, I'm just a night person, or I'm just stressed, or I'm just busy. But if your sleep and appetite change is paired with emotional change, more irritability, more numbness, more anxiety, more withdrawal, less motivation, and it lasts for weeks, it's worth taking seriously. Because sleep, especially, can be the thin line between coping and collapsing. When sleep is disrupted long enough, it affects mood, thinking, memory, and resilience. It makes everything harder. And if you're stuck in a cycle of poor sleep, it's not just a bad habit. It might be your nervous system stuck in a threat response. The sixth behavior is withdrawal, quietly disappearing from your own life. This is one of the most common warning signs, and it's often misread as attitude. People assume you're cold, or arrogant, or too independent. But withdrawal is often a sign that your inner capacity is running out. It can be obvious. You stop replying, you cancel plans, you stay home, you isolate. But sometimes it's subtle. You still show up, but you're not really there. You attend the family gathering, you sit at the table, you nod, you smile, but inside you feel far away. You're on autopilot. You might even feel like you're watching yourself from a distance, performing normal while you disappear behind your eyes. Withdrawal can also show up as losing interest in what used to matter. Hobbies feel pointless. Conversations feel tiring. Even small tasks feel heavy. Personal care can slip. Your space becomes messy. Your routines collapse. Not because you don't care, but because the system doesn't have fuel. And here's what makes withdrawal dangerous. It creates a feedback loop. You isolate because you're not okay, then isolation makes you feel worse. Then you isolate more, then shame enters. You think, what's wrong with me? Then you avoid people even more because you don't want them to see you like this. If you're in that loop, the first step isn't to force yourself into a crowd. The first step is one safe connection. One person, one honest message, even if it's small, even if it's simple, something like, I've been struggling more than I've admitted. I don't need advice right now. I just need someone to know. That kind of truth can break the spell of isolation. The seventh behavior is feeling disconnected from reality, becoming hypersensitive or increasingly suspicious in ways that feel unlike you. This one matters because it's easy to dismiss as I'm just stressed, when sometimes it requires quicker support. Disconnection can feel like you're living in a dream, like the world looks real but doesn't feel real, like you're watching life through glass, or you feel detached from your own body, like you're not fully inside yourself. Some people describe it as being on autopilot. Some people describe it as floating. Some people describe it as I'm here, but I'm not here. Hypersensitivity can show up as lights feeling harsh, sounds feeling too loud, crowds feeling unbearable, your skin feeling irritated, your nervous system reacting to everything like it's an emergency. And sometimes suspicion grows, not normal caution, but a feeling that people are against you, watching you, targeting you, or that harmless things contain hidden threats. Now this can be connected to anxiety, trauma, panic, sleep deprivation, and dissociation. But if these experiences are new, escalating, or disrupting your life, especially if you're struggling to tell what's real, or you're experiencing hallucinations, intense paranoia, or frightening beliefs, it's important to seek professional help promptly, not because you're crazy, but because your brain deserves care as much as your body does, and early support can make a huge difference. Let me say this with respect and clarity. You don't have to wait until you hit rock bottom to reach out. You don't have to prove you're suffering enough. If something feels off, if your mind feels unfamiliar, if you're scared of your own thoughts or perceptions, that is reason enough to talk to a mental health professional. Now, after hearing all 7, you might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if this is actually a problem or just life? Here's the simplest filter I know. Look for the pattern, not the moment. Look for change, duration, and impairment. Change means this isn't like me, something shifted. My baseline is different. Duration means it's not just 2 bad days, it's been weeks. And impairment means it's costing me something, my work, my relationships, my health, my ability to enjoy life, my capacity to function. One sign by itself might mean nothing, but when several signs cluster together, perfectionism plus avoidance, numbness plus sleep changes, withdrawal plus physical pain, that's usually your system asking for attention. And here's the deeper truth. Hidden signs of mental illness are often hidden because the person is trying to stay lovable. They're trying not to be a burden. They're trying to keep control. They're trying to be strong, but strength without support becomes strain, and strain, long enough, becomes symptoms. So if you recognized yourself today, don't turn it into shame. Turn it into information. Treat yourself with the same seriousness you would treat someone you love. You don't need a label to deserve care. You only need honesty. And if you're listening right now and you know you're not safe, if you feel like you might harm yourself or you can't stay safe, please reach out immediately to your local emergency number, a trusted person near you, or a crisis service in your area. You are not meant to carry that alone. Getting urgent help is not weakness. It's survival. It's wisdom. For everyone else, here's a gentle next step. Pick one sign from this video and write down one small action you can take this week. Not a perfect action, not a life overhaul, one small action. Book an appointment, answer one message, take a short walk, set a sleep boundary, tell one person the truth. A small step is still movement, and movement is how you begin to return to yourself. If this video put words to what you've been living, I want you to leave a comment that simply says, "I'm paying attention now," not as a confession, as a decision, because your mind is not your enemy. It's been trying to protect you, and now you get to help it heal. And if you know someone who always says they're fine, always jokes, always works, always disappears, always keeps it together, share this with them. Not to diagnose them, but to remind them that quiet suffering still counts and support is allowed. You're not weak for having symptoms, you're human, and you're worth the care it takes to get better.